What's going on, y'all? So we want to do a video. Um, I'm assuming we're gonna upload the prior video first.
That's the idea. So it's just a continuation.
All right, cool. So this is a kind of a continuation of our last video talking about how we would start prepping from ground zero if we were 15, 16, like high school age, not quite able to buy the cool toys yet and stuff like that. So we're gonna go into if we were starting from square one as an adult full time job. We just had to make it roughly 30,000 a year somewhere.
Yeah, clearing about 20, 26 max. Yeah.
Okay. If you make more than that, cool. Happy Meal. You can
accelerate the timeline.
Yeah. If not, we're gonna go based off. We're gonna go off that baseline. We're gonna cover food, water, medical, and then the stuff everyone wants to talk about, the fun stuff. So yeah, we'll start with food and water.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do most of the talking here on the food and water, just because I'm a little bit further ahead in that realm. So ideally, we want a year's worth of food, a year's worth of water on hand. There are some easy ways to do that. The easy ways are expensive ways. So starting out ground zero, we're saying you got about 120 a month you can put towards food and water. What I would personally do is split that down the middle, so I have $60 a month for each. And so for start with water, my first couple purchases for water would just be several cases of water, water bottles, just because they're convenient. And they're not terribly expensive. You can get a good bit for $60. Get a good baseline going. Once I had at least, like, assuming it's just one person, once I had at least 4 cases of water, then I'd start buying water purification and like shelf-stable waters, like the emergency ration waters. You can find those on Amazon and other like prepping warehouses and stuff like that. I always start with water because you need water before you need food, and we're assuming you have a house, so you have shelter covered. That's why that's not going to be a part of this conversation. There are other aspects to that you can get into once you have a baseline set. But yeah, so once we get at least a week's worth of water set aside, we have some water filtration systems and things like that. And for water filtration, I would look at like Sawyer Minis to start with, Life Straws. None of these are necessarily the ideal. However, they're about $20, $30 a pop, so we can get 2 or 3 of those pretty easily and have a way of producing water.
It doesn't hurt the wallet as bad.
Yeah, it's a more sustainable way to kind of go about it. As far as the food side, what I would do is start with buying just extra canned goods every time I go to the store. Extra thing of baked beans, extra thing of chicken noodle soup, stuff like that that you already eat and are using. Same thing, once that hits about a week, then I'd start looking into getting some dehydrated food to supplement that, like Mountain House meals and things like that. MREs are also great because they don't require anything to eat them. Like they have heater elements in them, so you can heat it up if you want to, but you don't have to. They're not the most healthy or necessarily even the best meals. However, on a budget, it's a great place to start, and it's pretty easy doing the MRE thing to get about a month's worth of food once you figure out what your necessary caloric intake is. So we're not necessarily looking to keep eating the way we're eating now, but we want to make sure that we're maintaining our minimum caloric intake for actually having to do things. So not your sedentary lifestyle where you can get away with eating less because you don't have to work. Because in an emergency disaster situation, you're going to have to work more than you do now typically, and depending on obviously what your job is and stuff like that. But that's where I would start with the food and water, and then as that grew, getting more dehydrated meals. Like right now, I have about a year's supply of. I keep wanting to say Wiseman Company. It's not Wiseman Company. It's Wise Food or whatever that dehydrated food brand is that comes in the totes. And I also have a good bit of the Mountain House meals and things like that. So you just kind of stack these systems on each other. So as one kind of depletes and reaches its usefulness limit, you kind of move on to the next. Yeah, so that's how I would do like the food and water starting from zero is just the really really simple basic things, just kind of upping my grocery run every time. So if I normally get 1 can of chicken noodle soup, I'm gonna get two. If I normally get three, I'm gonna get a fourth, just to have that one extra that's always sitting in the back. And the nice thing about doing it that way is that's food you already eat. So this also does help if something comes up and you don't have the much to put into your grocery budget, you still have some food to fall back on. Because the prepping thing, a lot of people get hung up. This is a tangent, so just bear with me. They get hung up on this is for disasters and disasters only. Well, an SHTF situation can be a lot of different things. You could lose a job. You could have to go get 4 new tires for your car. And now you don't have the same grocery budget that you did because you had to dip into that money. Because we're doing this from a significantly small budget, and in the economy we live in and the world we live in now, this is all stuff you have to think about. This isn't just when the balloon goes up, I'm gonna have all the no. We're prepping for every stage of life and every emergency that could come up.
Kind of a little anecdote about that, if that's even the right word. Me and my wife were planning on taking a trip, and in preparation for the trip, I looked at her tires and I was like, "Your tires are bald." Right? I just normal day to day life wasn't paying attention to it. Should have been paying better attention to it, but and she was like, what are we gonna do?" And I was like, "That's why we have a savings account for stuff like that." Yeah, she's sitting over here playing Fallout 4. I was like, that's why we put money in savings. That's if hurricane, power goes out, whatever, stuff like that.
And so that's going forward. That'll dictate as the rest of this conversation goes, kind of how we're looking at things. It's not just for when the balloon goes up; it's for whenever things go bad. Uh, so again, the money we're talking about to preface this, because I forgot to start with this, is assuming you're already putting other money into savings and paying your other bills. So this is whatever leftover money we have. This is the amount we're assuming. So that's how I start with the food. Just plussing up from there and starting with that, and then whenever you get a little extra money, mom sends you money for your birthday, or grandma, whatever, you can put that money towards getting a little bit extra food and water and things like that. I wouldn't start looking to divert any money away from food to help plus up other areas until you have at least 6 months worth of food on hand. Then once you have that on hand, then we would get into the next topic, which is medical, which is what Buck Knife here is going to talk a little bit about. And how this is again going to be based off of having $120 a month for just medical.
Yeah. So assuming that you're starting with no medical stuff whatsoever, first thing I would do is go to Walmart, go to the medical aisle, get you one of them plastic first aid, not the small one, but the one with the two orange clippies that open up and it's got like all kinds of little boo-boo stuff in it. That's the first thing I would get, because you're more likely to need a band-aid, and also yes, men use band-aids. And get over yourself.
Side note with that, if you take the electrical tape and a napkin, you just made a band-aid. Congratulations.
Yeah, because infection's not fun. So I would get that. I'd get that little family first aid kit at Walmart. It's like $30, and that sits in the linen closet or wherever you want. I don't care where you put it in the house as long as it's accessible. I know we put it in the linen closet when we were roommates.
Yeah, the house med kit went into there.
So assuming you have that, you've got your family first aid kit. Now we can start looking into, okay, well now, what's the thing Bear Independence says? The most dangerous thing you'll ever do in your life is drive a car. you're more likely to get into a car accident than you are to get shot at, to get struck by lightning, to whatever. The balloon goes up and Chinese people start falling from the sky.
Red Dawn.
You're more likely to get into a car accident, and you're more likely to get super jacked up from that car accident than anything else you do, unless your job is to get shot at for a living. So next thing we're gonna need is a trauma kit, and I took notes because I didn't want to forget anything. So let's see. So the I'll go over the basic components of a trauma kit. Try to go over roughly what everything costs because I don't know everything off the top of my head. And then you'll be able to slowly build it up over time. And yeah, we'll go from there. So you got, for basic trauma kit, you're going to have a tourniquet, chest seals, compressed gauze, a nasopharyngeal airway, medical gloves, rolled gauze, trauma shears, and your pressure or Israeli bandage. Let's see. Do you think anything off the top of your head that I'm missing?
No, not for a starting out kit.
Okay, cool. So, first thing I would buy out of all of this would probably, I want to say the tourniquet.
I know that's where both of us started.
Yeah.
We got our hands on Cat 7s, or Cat 6s, I think, at the time.
Yeah. It was an old, it might have even been like a Cat 5 or something that my dad had in his military stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, get your hands on a tourniquet. At the bare minimum, keep it in the bag you carry every day. That is gonna. I mean, you can bleed out in 7 seconds. And last thing you want to do is watch somebody bleed out and sat there and went like, man, I really wish I spent that $30.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing I get is a tourniquet, and then I will start. I'd get the tourniquet, I get compressed gauze, and then I get a nasopharyngeal airway. Medical gloves you can get at Walmart, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you can get. You can get those at like hardware stores too.
Yeah.
Lots of places carry because it's just a nice
or go to the doctor's office and you go, hey, can I take some of them? Like, I've done it. Don't steal.
Stealing is bad.
But
if you ask nicely, a lot of times they'll give you extra gloves.
Yeah. So, I'd get your shears. Those are like $5. Side note, same thing I said in the last video, and I'm kind of jumping back and forth. I apologize for that. The last video when we were talking to the high school age people, I mentioned don't buy cheap Chinese medical equipment, specifically trauma equipment, because you're buying that to stop someone from bleeding out or keep them breathing. And the last thing you want to do is to have saved a couple bucks buying a Chinese-made thing for it to break and that person died. So, North American Rescue.
I'm gonna interrupt real quick. Fully agree with what he's saying, but is to put everything in perspective with prepping in general. The question becomes, how much is your life worth, and how much is your family's life worth? Yeah, working on a budget, it's hard, and you want to save that money and be wise with how you're spending it, but you don't want to be a fool and buy something that's not going to do the job. And that's what he's getting at with make sure you're not buying the cheap tourniquet. Make sure you're not buying something that's going to break. So go with reputable brands, reputable names. Like there's some of this stuff, yes, you can get it off Amazon. Like the chest seals. They sell the good chest seals on Amazon. I would not buy a tourniquet from Amazon. I would not, honestly.
Unless it's the North American Rescue store page on Amazon.
Yeah, which
But even then,
I would be very cautious because Amazon has had issues, not necessarily with that specifically, but with other ones where companies were selling knockoffs with the name brand on it.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to tell the difference until you need it. So I would definitely go to reputable websites that's what they do. Like North American Rescue, you can go direct to them and get your tourniquet from them. Shears, I wouldn't also buy from Amazon, even though you can find good ones on there. You just don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So unless you have shears already and you're looking for a second set, you can kind of take a risk. I wouldn't do that. I would go again. There's My Medic Outfitters. There's North American Rescue. All kinds of different places, or even like a lot of towns have medical supply houses that will supply like nurses and stuff like that. And most of those are open to the public, so you could even go in there and get your trauma shears and stuff like that from there, and that way you know you're getting reputable product. So sorry, that's my little interjection on that.
Yeah, so North American Rescue, Dark Angel Medical, Fair Independent, and old boy told me about apparently 511's website also sells North American Rescue tourniquets.
Oh, I knew that.
So yeah, get them from reputable places. Even better if you know a combat medic that can direct you push you in the right direction.
EMTs as well.
Yeah, EMTs. Talk to your local fire departments and stuff like that about good places to get stuff like that. But yeah, slowly. Where was I with that? So you're gonna slowly start piecing this all together. Ideally, when you're completed with the.
Sorry, you asked me if there's anything a bag for all of this. Now that you can get off Amazon.
Yeah, just a general nylon pouch.
Yeah, a general like utility pouch, something to keep it all together and at least semi-organized. You know, if you can get a dedicated medical bag, because they make all kinds of different ones.
Go to an army surplus store and get an IFAC bag.
Yeah, it's just something you can keep it all in, keep it together, because you don't want to be searching through a bunch of different compartments on your nice fancy backpack, looking for this stuff when you need it.
Yeah. So when you start piecing this all together, this isn't necessarily. This is a good starting point. This shouldn't be where you end with it.
No.
Ideally,
nothing we cover today is going to be the end all be all. It's just to get going.
So you're gonna to be finished with your starter trauma kit, and then you could build on it over time after that. But you want to start with 2 tourniquets, 2 chest seals, front and back, because penetrating wounds that go in one way, generally speaking, go out the other way. Compressed gauze. This isn't a trauma class. I'm not.
Break it down.
Compressed gauze. Nasopharyngeal airway. It's the green rubber tube that you shove up their nose. That one's easy. It opens the airway. That's easy to explain. Gloves we already covered. Rolled gauze. Pretty sure you can also get that from Walmart. Trauma shears.
Walmart, CVS.
Walmart, CVS. If you're just starting out, don't buy Leatherman Raptors. They're $80.
They're glorious.
When I was working at the fire department, they were awesome. Not right now. You can have them later.
Yeah. We got a lot of bases to cover. We don't need to spend $80 on shears right now. That's a later treat.
And then your Israeli pressure bandage, North American Rescue, Dark Angel Medical, stuff like that. So all of this stuff, roughly. You could probably put it together sub 250. Yeah. And the reason I laid it out this way in particular, with each separate thing, and not just saying go to North American Rescue or go to Dark Angel Medical or go to Bear Independent and buy the Bear Fac. If you've got the money to go do that, great.
Awesome.
But
this is assuming
this is slowly buying things week by week. I've got an extra $20 here, I've got an extra $30 here, or whatever, and I can buy a tourniquet. And so you can take and follow the number of things that I realized I stopped saying the numbers. So we'll go. So 2 tourniquets, 2 chest seals, 4 compressed gauze, 1 nasopharyngeal airway, box of gloves, 2 rolled gauze. I didn't write down. I'm at it here. 2 5x9 gauze pads.
Yep.
Trauma shears, and an Israeli bandage.
medical tape.
Yeah, medical tape.
You can cover
The
a lot
simplest.
of bases. That's part of the problem with going back to bases. We have some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff, so we forget that we're doing it from square one sometimes. One thing I will say on the medical as well is you can cheat a little bit if you check out some different websites like Primary Arms. They have what they call their officer response kit, I want to say. And that's got a compression bandage, a Cat 7 tourniquet, and I want to say chest seals. And it's on sale, usually like $39.99. So that's a great way to knock out a couple of things in one swoop without breaking the bank,
Yeah.
And like we said, if you have the extra money, you can drop it on a pre-made kit from one of these reputable companies. Then yeah, do that. But if you don't, piece it together. There's nothing wrong with that. Just stay focused, keep with your budget, because we're trying to do this in a financially responsible manner with all of this stuff.
Yeah. None of this should be purchased with credit cards.
Yeah, no. No.
Yeah, don't freak out and go. The balloon's gonna go up next month because old boy on YouTube told me so.
The sky is falling.
And so you sit there and you go put $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on the credit card, and then next week comes and it's a normal week, and now you've got $4,000 or $5,000 in debt, and now
you have to be a responsible, wise adult
when
you're doing this stuff. And all of this stuff, again, like I said before, we're prepping for when things go bad. So we don't need to create a bad situation with excess debt trying to avoid a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this stuff can be done over time if you are diligent and disciplined with your budget. And I'm going to quote a Facebook post I said, like, budgeting is hard, working out is hard, being in debt is hard, being fat is hard. So choose your heart. And I'm not calling anybody out because I got a little belly on me, but I do work out and I do maintain my health. I choose my heart. Life is going to be hard. You just have to choose what hard you want to do. Do you want to do the hard that makes you the victim and subject to other people's whims? Or do you want to do the hard that makes you self-sustaining and responsible? And if you're on this channel, I'm assuming you want to be, or either one of our channels, I'm assuming you want to do the hard that's going to make you self-sufficient and a good man. So that's what we're talking about. That's where we're coming from. So just be wise with how you're doing things and don't panic. Trust God, pray, move forward, and act.
Yep.
That's another little tangent rant. But anything else medical before we move on to the fun stuff?
All the other stuff that I'll say it real quick. Next, your next steps after you get that built out would be, as you continue to acquire more trauma, because we've been doing this how long, and I'm still planning on buying a whole bunch more medical stuff because I want to build out a mass casualty trauma bag, which is going to be 8-10 tourniquets and 8 to 10 of everything, if not double that. So for some items, So you never really stop buying medical equipment.
You're always trying to improve your situation. I mean, I've got several trauma kits, and I'm at the point where I've got like suture kits and all kinds of stuff like that because I'm preparing for a situation where I can't go to higher care. So I'm trying to get the training and everything that goes along with that. So just understand that when you get there, you're not there.
Yeah.
Like we said before, this is just a baseline to give you something and help you be prepared for more eventualities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you buy more tourniquets, keep let's say you bought those two and it's in the pouch, right? Let's say you buy a third one. Put that in your driver door.
Mhm.
You know, you car wreck and a whatever stupid thing happens where something goes through your leg and you're pinned in the driver's seat and you're bleeding all over the place. You can get into that tourniquet and put it around yourself. You save your own life, or you can, save your. I'm not pointing at you like significant other. My wife sits in the passenger seat.
She's over there pointing.
Yeah. So like, my wife's sitting over there. Like, I could put a tourniquet on her, save her life. However that works. So, no homo, by the way. So, but yeah, that's all I got on medical is when you start to build out past that, start to think about where would I want this equipment staged so that it's always there so if I ever need it, i.e., you build out a second kit, put it on the back of your headrest in your car.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be you in the wreck, it could be you rolled up on a wreck and now you've got to start, if I assume if you're watching this channel or Y's channel, and you're looking at buying a whole trauma kit, I'm assuming you're also the type of person that's going to go and help somebody if you roll up on a wreck or something. So that's all I got for medical.
Yeah. So going from there, we're going to defense, weapons and things like that. Yeah, pretty deep. So first thing I'd say buy, as far as firearms go, is buy a pistol. Reason being, pistols go with you everywhere. It is the modern day sword. So if any of you have watched my other videos talking about, Jesus telling his disciples to buy a sword, stuff like that, you'll kind of understand why I say that. But yeah, pistols go with you everywhere, so buy a good pistol. Pistols I'd recommend would be Glocks, the Smith & Wesson M&P, which is what we personally run. Smith & Wesson SD9VE is a good budget option. Trying to save a little bit more money. PSA daggers, we have 2 of those in inventory right now that we're testing out. I can't give them the green light yet, but they are definitely on the road to being a good budget option. What I would also say to keep in mind, whatever budget gun you buy, you need to be able to buy at least 350 rounds to prove it out. I know a lot of people say 500 minimum, 1,000 minimum to prove a gun reliable.
If you're buying a budget gun,
yeah,
you don't have the money to blow 1,000 rounds.
Yeah, with all of that, all things being equal in this situation, understand when you buy a budget gun, they usually do need break-in. So that's why I say have at least 350 rounds of, I recommend 9mm, of 9mm range ammo to burn through it just to make sure the gun cycles. And then once you have your pistol selected, you need to run at least 3 magazines for it, absolute bare minimum. Because you need 2 loaded with defensive ammo at all times. You have a third for range training. Ideally, I would say at least 6 magazines, so you can have 3 defensive, 3 training mags. And the reason I say that is you don't want to keep constantly having to unload your defensive ammo to reload it. At the end of the day, it's just a headache and not worth it. Because you do need to train with your guns. All of this stuff, besides food and water, you need to train with. You need to get out there and practice. Like, we have training tourniquets that we'll carry around. We'll run drills with each other and making sure we are up to date and speed that we can put a tourniquet on as quickly as possible. Make sure we can actually save someone's life or our own. Once you have your pistol in a good holster with a weapon light on it, I'll pull up something we can look at. So this is my PSA dagger, we just did another video on. As you can see, weapon light, and I have an optic on mine. Definitely don't need an optics ready gun. Just get something that has good iron sights on it that you can aim and has a weapon light. I would recommend getting a full-size pistol. Sorry, or at the smallest, a Glock 19 size pistol. Running a Streamlight TLR1 weapon light is a really good way to go. They're really robust lights and they're not super expensive. So it's a great way to have that because you never know when you're going to need your gun. And you want to make sure that you can positively ID the thing you're about to shoot. We do not shoot at things because it made a noise. That's bad.
Very bad.
So we want to make sure that we can see what we're shooting at. And I know a lot of people don't like EDCing weapon lights because it's bulky and it's uncomfortable. Get over it.
Yeah, suck it up.
It's not that bad. I carry a full-size M&P with the Streamlight TLR1 HL on it all day, every day, and have for
a
long time now. And even before that, my carry gun had a weapon light on it. It's not that big of a deal to deal with. You will be happy if you ever have to use it. But once we get this squared away, it's in a good holster, which as far as budget holsters, the Bravo Company, Bravo Concealment, sorry, Bravo Company makes ARs.
Yeah, Bravo Company ain't budget.
Yeah, Bravo Concealment holsters are a good budget holster. There definitely are nicer holsters like the T-Rex Arms, Tier 1 Concealment, all of that. They are nicer. They do cost more, but you are getting more for what you pay. So starting out, I would say get this for like $50.
Yeah,
and
50, 60, somewhere around there.
it'll give you a nice, safe way that will protect the trigger and make the gun safe to carry. And so it'll be easier to have it with you with a good holster. Once that's squared away, the next one I would say purchase would be a rifle. I know you'll hear 1,000 different opinions on getting a rifle or as your second defensive gun. A lot of people will say get a shotgun. Shotguns are great tools. They're very versatile with the proper setups and proper loads. They also do require more training. I really don't care what you were told by whoever, but you do have to train more with a shotgun to keep it in the fight. Because reloading them is not as easy as putting in a magazine in your pistol or your AR platform.
None of you are Jerry Michaelecker's daughter. So
I would recommend for long guns that you go with an AR-15 to start out with. Reason being, you can get into a serviceable AR-15 from like Palmetto State Armory for around $500 for the gun itself, and then you need a way to aim it. So this one currently has flip-up irons on it. No, these aren't ideal, being the only sighting system on here, but it will allow you to aim it. The same thing, as I said, with the pistol, same with the rifle, put a light on it. You need to be able to positively identify the thing that you are thinking needs shooting before you shoot it to confirm it needs shooting. Keep going for just a second, and I'll get into ammo selection as well. The other thing I would say when you get to the rifle, do not buy an 18-inch like this, or my super sweet 5-inch little PDW gun. Both of these are awesome. Both of these serve specific purposes. Getting your first AR, do not buy a 10.5-inch, do not buy an 11.5, do not buy a 12.5. Get a 16-inch AR-15 to start with. And I know I say that, if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that I started out with a 10.5 300 Blackout, and then I moved to a 10.5 5.56. Great guns. I loved both of them. I sold the 300 Blackout because the ammo was too expensive and I wasn't shooting it. I still have the 10.5 5.56. Getting a 16-inch gun is far more practical because it will give you more versatility out of one gun. I have more than one gun, so I don't need to be worried about one gun that can do as many things as possible. I have far more specific setups for what I'm going to do.
yeah.
I do have a 16-inch gun. I have my 10.5. I have this 5-inch gun, and they all fit specific roles. So I would definitely say get the 16-inch gun first. Sticking on that budget mindset, I would not get Bear Creek Arsenal. I would not get ATI. I would not get, what's that other one? Do not get an Omni. That's from the ATI. That's the polymer one. Don't do it. Yeah, what I would look at is Radical Firearms, Palmetto State Armory, And if you have a little bit more money to spend, the Zion 15 from IWI, that's a little bit higher end. That's about like a mid-tier gun. Arrow Precision is another good mid-tier one. But for the IWI and the Arrow, you're looking at least $800 for the gun before you get into optics, irons, lights, all that stuff that you need to make the gun work. Also, your long gun should have a sling on it. You can see my sling's retained. I just have it on a little inner tube that I cut up to make Ranger bands out of. The sling is the equivalent to a holster. I know there are some people now that disagree with that statement. You need a sling so that you can keep the gun on you even if you have to go hands-on with something else. You don't want to be laying your gun down and have to run away and now your gun's left in the dirt. Same thing with a holster. Holster keeps the pistol on you. Sling keeps the rifle on you. So you need one. Don't necessarily need a red dot, but you need a good set of irons. If you're not going to run a red dot, I would not run flip-up irons. I would invest in a good set of fixed irons. There's a lot of different good brands out there. I'm not going to get into the specifics of that right now, but that's the setup I would run for that. Then once you get done with that and you have a good setup, then you can start thinking about shotguns and things like that. But sticking with the rifle for a second longer, the other thing you'll need for it is magazines, because these are magazine-fed weapons. They are the crux of the gun. The reliability of most modern firearms comes down to the reliability of the magazine. So what we tend to run right now are these Lancers. We do have P-mags and GI mags. All of those work great. We like the Lancers because they give us some of the benefits of polymer mag with some of the benefits of the steel mags, specifically being the steel feed lips. So I don't have to worry about this being loaded for a long period of time and the feed lips spreading. The P-mags are really good at not spreading the feed lips, but they are just a polymer mag. So if you have it loaded for a long period of time, the chance is higher that you will have feed lip spread. If the feed lip spreads, you're going to have malfunctions in your gun. That being said, if you cannot afford the $10 to $15 for one of these, get the $9 P-mag. That is the cheapest mag I would recommend because it is still good. And I have seen videos where guys have had them loaded for 3 or 4 years without a problem. Do I want to test that out myself? No, that's why I run Lancers. Would I feel uncomfortable with a PMag? Absolutely not.
I've got 10 of them sitting just off camera over there.
Yeah, I got 20 plus PMags, so they're definitely not bad mags. With that, for the rifle, 10 mags is your minimum. Magazines, the same with pistol, are a consumable item. They will wear out, they will break eventually, so you want extras because you never know when you're going to be able to get more. So the minimum is 10. Now that we have our magazines and our 16-inch gun and our pistol, what are we feeding these guns? Because we need good ammunition. So for the pistol, for 9mm, Hornady Critical Defense is a great option. I personally run their 115 grain. I like the way it performs. I've never had an issue with it cycling in a weapon. And Hornady just makes really good ammunition. So almost any Hornady loading is pretty good to go. I would recommend, even though it is more expensive, sticking with the Critical Defense or the Critical Duty for the Hornady lineup. Spear Gold Dots aren't a bad one. Federal HSTs are another good one. The SIG V Crowns are pretty good as well. Those are a little lower on the totem pole. I would definitely, again, stick with Hornady and Federal for the primary loadings. With that being said, 250 rounds of hollow points is the minimum you should have on hand at any given time for your pistol. For your rifle, ideally we want 1,000 rounds on hand, but out of that 1,000 rounds, I want at least 320 rounds that is loaded into magazines of good defensive ammo. Good defensive ammo out of a 16-inch is a lot more, we have a lot more options for that. So we could get away with a good 55 grain loading or a 50 grain loading or the Hornady VMAX loading that's a 50 or 40 grain, I forget. They have a couple different ones. But Spear Gold Dots are another good option. And again, this is not going to be cheap ammo, guys. This is one of those things that you have to do over time and be very diligent to buy a box or two every chance you get. Because you are looking at about $1 a round for that defensive ammo for both the pistol and the long gun.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said before, how much is your life worth? How much is your family's life worth? I don't just want a gun shooting FMJ. it'll get the job done. And I'm going to need to use a lot more ammo to get that job done. But if I have a good defensive loading, I'm going to be far better off. And you can also tailor those loadings for your environment, apartment complexes, a rural home, whatever your context is. And there's a lot of guys out there that have good videos on it. I know one that I've been watching recently is Uncle Freedom. He's got a lot of good videos on ammo and ammo selection and things like that. I do not agree fully with what he says in those videos, just going to say that now. But he has done a lot of testing on the ammunition, so it is a great place to start if you know nothing about ammunition. But again, generally speaking, 77 grain OTMs is a good option. Not a great option, but a good option. Again, Spear Gold Dots. Hornady does make a critical defense in their rifle ammo for 223, 556, and 308. But again, we're focusing on that 556 right now. Oh, that's the cat.
Yeah, yeah.
Once we get our minimums met, I want to get both guns to at least 1,000 rounds, and I want at least 250 rounds of training ammo for both, just so I have some ammo to always pull from to go make sure my skills are sharp and do dry fire practicing as well. Once we have that squared away, then we get into support gear, which this is a T-Rex Arms Ready Rig. Specifically, this is an L Ready Rigo. If you saw T-Rex Arms video, you'll know what's going on with that. But this is a representation of having a good chest rig. It doesn't have to be this one. This is buck knives here, but something like this so you can carry your rifle mags and pistol mags and some medical with you to increase your capabilities and longevity in a situation where you're having to have this stuff with you. Personally, I run a drop leg as my primary go-to, and that's from HSGI. That was, I think, $150 for that, so that was definitely a process of saving up for to get. But I love it. It carries two rifle mags, 3 pistol mags, and it's I got the clips that are always on my belt, so I can just clip into it, and now I've got extra ammo for both of my weapons with me at a moment's notice. On top of that, once we kind of have that squared away, and assuming you're working with a group of people, radios, some form of communication is ideal. So these are Baofeng UV5Rs. They're not the best. They're not the end-all be-all. They have their shortcomings. They have their issues. But especially if we're doing like a natural disaster type situation, these would be great to have if we don't have our phones and just an extra way to communicate. Like Level 1 Goon, myself, and Buck Knife, we run together, so we have our radios on the same freaks and all that kind of stuff, so we can talk to each other even if the cell networks go down, as long as we're in a general proximity to each other. Range depends on your environment, all that good stuff. But these are nice to have, but this is a later purchase. And once you get all of that squared away, you keep going down the road into nods and all that other stuff. That's all very nice to have, but not necessary for getting started. Again, that's why we run white lights, all this kind of stuff. We're going to work within our budget to make things the best that they can be. And once we have our baselines covered, then we can start saving up for bigger purchases and increasing our capabilities beyond that. Before I forget, on the ammo side of the house, storing your ammo is really important. Get a good metal ammo can with a rubber gasket on it. I do say the metal because they tend to be more robust and seal better than the plastic cans. They also tend to be more expensive. So yes, that's going to prolong this process working with the budget that we have. But it is doable. Checking out surplus stores is another great place to get those and all that kind of stuff. But you want to have a good place to store your ammo that keeps it dry and have desiccant packets in your ammo as well. You can buy those from like Academy and things like that. I also tend to keep the ones that come in my packages because most of the time you can feel them. If it feels bloated, it's bad, and sometimes you can see the color. If it's purple, I want to say, like a purplish pink, then it's bad. But
probably. I'd imagine it changes brand to brand.
Yeah, it does, but you can usually tell if one's full of moisture, or if it's not. If it's still dry, you can throw it in there. It's a little added insurance. But yeah, I have some.
If it feels like a hacky sack where it's got the little beans in it, you're probably good.
But yeah, so I have some videos talking about ammo stockpiling on my channel if you want to look into those specifically. and how I store the ammo and things like that, and how to keep track of it and all that. But yeah, so that's the basics of all of this and how we would kind of restart from zero to get going in the direction we are now. Yeah, I think that's about all I got. Anything else?
Look at your reputable discount stores. Look at.
Speaking of which, in the description of my videos, there's a link for Baril. They have some really good deals on ammo and things like that, so that's a good option to look in for saving some money. Palmetto State Armory is another good one.
Palmetto
for their
State
ammo
Armory's
deals and
deals
stuff like that.
cycle every Friday.
Yeah.
Every Friday morning, their deals cycle.
Yep.
So just keep an eye on it.
Get on their mailing list because they'll send you emails when they have random deals as well.
Yep.
So just keep an eye on it, guys. If you're disciplined and you're focused, you can do this. It is going to take time. For most people, you're never going to get where you want to be overnight. If you're a millionaire, yeah, you can get a lot done really quick. But most of us don't have that luxury. So, yeah, we thank you all for tuning in and watching. Let us know if you have any questions in the bottom or if you have any video ideas that you'd like to hear us talk about. Other than that, peace.